Chair now recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. I understand the enormous task that you have of securing the sovereignty of this country, but also understand that the American people expect us to do just that, protect the sovereignty of the nation and the sovereignty of the individual states. And you know, I think about President Reagan talking about the America being a shining city on a hill. And he said that if that city has to have walls, then those walls need to have gates. And those gates would allow normal commerce, and it would also control normal and legal immigration for folks that want to come to this beacon of freedom. And so I'm struggling this morning with your definition of operational control. The Secure Fence Act of 2006, Congress defined operational control as the prevention of all unlawful entries into the United States, including entries by terrorists, other unlawful aliens, instruments of terrorism, narcotics, and other contraband. The CBP is publishing data stating that only 44% of the southwest border is under operational control, and a border state is suing the federal government for these same issues. You mentioned an acceptable level of operational control. I think the acceptable level of the American citizen is total control of our southern border, our northern border, natural ports of entry, where we determine who comes into this country, how many folks come here through legal means annually, what they come for, whether they're seeking citizenship. These are things, the questions that the American people are asking. And so given the fact, and I can go on about the GAO and 69 miles of 3,987 miles on our northern border being controlled, $3 billion spent on the northern border. Rhetorically, I don't expect you to answer this question, but rhetorically, I think of how much concrete, steel, and barbed wire could have been purchased and erected on our southern border for $3 billion, or a portion of that $3 billion, and understand you don't have total control on how your budget is expended. So that's why that is rhetorical. But what I'd like to try to get to is a further understanding from you of what operational control really means.
Congressman, I will say that part of our overall mission is to substantially increase the probability of apprehension of those people that seek to do harm to this country. And in particular, in the Border Patrol's case, that would be between the legal ports of entry. And I would agree with you. Prevention is part of our strategy and what we're trying to do. But putting a 2-mile fence, for instance, on the border doesn't necessarily give you prevention, because there's still going to be those individuals that are going to try to come over it, go underneath it, or go around it. And so as we incrementally build that, and we just add the pedestrian fence, for instance, some cases in Yuma in 2005, where we had over 2,300 vehicles just driving across the border. Certainly that was unsustainable from a border security standpoint. And so 1 year later, after we applied those resources, they've dwindled down to, right now, on average, the Yuma sector, which is part of that western part of Arizona, is seeing minimal activity levels as a result. So the prevention is part of what we try to achieve as well. But fence and Border Patrol agents and technology in and of itself isn't the only thing that we require to achieve, as you described, what the American people require, because it's going to be a whole-of-government approach and a whole community approach to border security. You know, with working with the state and local law enforcement agencies, for instance, working with the communities, and in particular those communities that are affected in the rural and remote areas where we don't have that level of presence, for instance, in terms of fencing or in terms of detection capability. But we will work those along with our law enforcement partners, predicated on intelligence, so that we use the resources that we have in a very focused and forward effort along with those community members.
Chief Fisher, I appreciate that. You're going to find a friend in me to help you achieve your mission, but I appreciate you saying that you're trying to stop folks that are wanting to do harm to this country. We've got a tremendous issue with folks that are just coming into this country illegally for pursuing jobs and quality of life that we enjoy. I understand why they come, but You also said in your written statement that you currently have immigration laws, and these laws can't be ignored. The law is a law, and that our law enforcement officers and agents are bound to duty enforce these laws. But the last time I checked, entering in this country without coming through a natural port of entry, through legal means, is against the law. And so in addition to those that are wanting to harm this country through terrorism and other things, we also have a duty to protect the law or enforce the law of those that are coming here and breaking our laws, crossing our borders. And that's in addition to what you're saying.
Yes, Congressman, and if I may add, when I had mentioned those people that would do harm to this country, I didn't do that at the exclusion of all other activity. Clearly, as law enforcement officers, we are bound by oath and by the Constitution and certainly by the American people to enforce those laws, and we will do them both within the Constitution with a degree of compassion and consistency within this organization.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.